Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Friends, it's time to go back to where it all started as we watch Star Trek, the original series, Season 3, Episode 10, Plato's Stepchildren. Now, it's, I think, common knowledge that Season 3 is a bit hit or miss with the episodes. I think that's safe and fair to say, but we've had a string of, in my opinion, some really solid episodes recently. So whether or not that continues, it doesn't matter because any time we spend aboard the NCC 1701 is time well spent. Before we get started, friends, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. It greatly helps out a small channel and allows me to alert you next time we go live. And of course, if there's anything that we do that you would like early or in its full-length format, the link to our Patreon is in the description. Not a fan of Patreon? Stick with us here on YouTube memberships. You'll get all of our episodes about a day early, plus any bonus episodes that we come up with. And there are some coming up for the end of the original series run, my friends. Whew, but all that is then and this is now, and now it's time to watch the 10th episode of the 3rd season of Star Trek, the original series, Plato's Stepchildren. Prepare to engage maximum warp reaction. And away we go! Ooh, look at that beauty. Just strutting.
Log stardate 50.
Just strutting through space.
Responding to desperate
Earth?
distress calls from an unknown planet.
Oh.
It is rich in kieronide deposits, a very rare and long-lasting source of great power.
Are you from the spaceship Enterprise?
Curamide. Is that what they said?
Alexander, at your service. I sing,
Alexander.
I dance, I play all variety of games, and I'm a good loser, a very good loser. Please try to bear that in mind.
I already like this guy.
Our leader liked Plato's ideas, Platonius, see? In fact, our present philosopher king, Parmen, sometimes calls us Plato's children, although we sometimes think of ourselves more as Plato's stepchildren.
That guy's great. His affect and delivery and pacing is definitely stage trained.
Who among you is the physician?
I know her. I know that actress.
Well, what happened to that leg?
I suppose I scratched it.
I don't understand. This should have been attended to immediately.
Is there anything you can do?
Oh, we're certainly gonna try. The infection is massive. Let me give you a hypo to ease the pain.
Where?
In the arm.
Really? They got like TK?
They came to help. They deserve better than to die.
Alexander, you talk too much.
Yeah, they've got TK. The actor playing Alexander has to be stage trained. Has to be. Jim's going to tell us about the final frontier, everybody. Interesting premise. It looks like we've got another, hey, by the way, this world's the Plato world, the Greek world, so be it. I'm perfectly fine with that. Again, immediate impression by the actor playing Alexander. Again, in early television like this with so many people coming from either radio, not necessarily radio at this point, but more so from stage, you know, a lot of that stuff is in conventions are carried through to these shows, I've noticed. And he's a great example of it. You know, those reactionary, the projection, everything he had really spoke of the stage. And I think with the current kind of theme that they're going with here, it does its duty. It works really well. So I'm curious to see how much more of that we get.
When their planet Nova, millennia ago, they transported themselves to Earth during the time of Socrates and Plato.
What is your prognosis, Doctor?
Pain.
Suppose I can't understand why a simple cut like that could become so serious.
Neither do I, but it has. How do I knock out an infection when the tricorder doesn't show any information on Plato's bacteria?
Your pan is in jeopardy.
So Alexander does not have TK, I'm assuming.
Brainwaves.
Do these waves cease while you are asleep?
No, not if they're embedded in the...
Excellent question.
We haven't had any pressing need for the medical arts. You see, while still on Sandara, we instituted a mass eugenics program.
Really?
To a population of 38. We're perfect for our utopia.
38?
And self-reliance. And longevity.
And arrogance, apparently.
How old would you say I am? Oh, don't be afraid. I'm not vain.
35.
That old? I stopped aging at 30.
Yikes.
So you see, we scarcely have to move anymore, let alone work.
That's why you have no resistance.
That's right. A break in the skin or a cut can be fatal.
Wow. Everybody duck. There's a lot of statues and stonework around here.
I believe we're experiencing the psychokinetic manifestations of Parman's delirium.
I think you might be right, Spock, because I never think you're wrong. We have neither Chekhov nor Sulu.
We're in the midst of a storm. No discernible cause. I've never seen anything like it.
Back it up.
Emergency gyros and stabilizers at maximum.
Back her off.
Get her out of orbit and into space.
I've tried that, sir. She's locked tight.
Parman's mind is not... Watch it! He's only throwing around the furniture.
Great reaction by Shatner there. I'm not convinced he didn't know that was coming. We need to knock this guy out. Do we have phasers? Can we stun him? Spock, can you get close enough to pinch him?
Hurry up with the shot!
No, Doctor.
Oh, she's covering his eyes. I guess so he doesn't know where to direct it. Oh, don't kill Alexander.
Shake him! Break his concentration!
Spock. Knock this prick out.
Scott on the Enterprise. It's all right, Captain. The turbulence has abated.
Is he out or dead?
I don't know how I can ever thank you. Not only for Platonius, but for myself.
No thanks is necessary.
Alexander, show our guest to the south wing.
I think I better wait until the fever breaks.
Well, in that case, we'll stay. Are there other Platonians like you?
What do you mean, like me?
Who don't have the psychokinetic ability?
Right.
Oh, I thought you were talking about my size. Because they make fun of me for my size.
Yeah, well, fuck him.
To answer your question, I'm the only one who doesn't have it. I was brought here as the court buffoon. That's why I'm everybody's slave and I have to be 10 places at once and I never do anything right.
This guy's a great actor.
They say I'm a throwback. And I am, and so are you.
Really good.
Listen, where you come from, are there a lot of people without the power and my size?
Alexander, where I come from, size, shape, or color makes no difference. And nobody has the power.
Take me with you.
Somebody wants me.
Oh, that sucks, man.
It will be very gratifying to leave here.
Spock's the best.
Fever's broken. And what recuperative powers? The infection's begun to drain already.
Dr. McCoy, you may yet cure the common cold.
If there ever was a time to get out of here.
Let's get...
Scott here, sir.
Prepare to beam us up.
I'm afraid I can't do that, sir. Everything's frozen.
What?
The orbit is locked tighter than ever. And subspace communication with Starfleet, it's completely severed.
Okay, so they want you. Somebody wants you here. My money's on the woman. I forget her name.
Marking time to the rhyme with his hoof. With his hoof.
There's no way this guy's not a stage actor. There's no way.
Barmen will do. Philosopher kings have no need of titles.
After he give you one.
Guests, do not come barging in here, making demands and issuing orders.
Prick, you were almost killed. And we saved your life.
Guests aren't treated like common prisoners.
Do not take that tone with me.
Oh, boy. Remember when we saved your life like 10 minutes ago?
Kirk to Enterprise, acknowledge. Acknowledge. Enterprise, come in.
Now communications are severed. Awesome.
Parman is not concerned with my dignity or safety.
Agreed, Captain. And Parman would not have treated you so brutally if he had any intention of releasing you.
Right. Well, Spock can be TK'd.
To our noble captain, The shield carried by Pericles as a symbol of gallant leadership.
No, thank you.
And lastly, to the physician, Dr. McCoy, who saved Platonius and my spouse. This ancient collection of Greek cures, penned by Hippocrates himself.
Okay, so all this is horse shit. These aren't like ancient artifacts.
Has the Enterprise been released yet?
Captain, wait. I know what you're thinking.
That you're an asshole? Yeah.
I am sure, Captain, that you too have been out of sorts and have been driven to fits of temper and rage. What I think and feel, whether for good or ill, is instantly translated into reality.
Okay, can we go?
Has the Enterprise been released yet?
It will be shortly.
Why?
Thank you for the presents.
Not at all. But there is one final request.
Oh boy.
We should like you, Dr. McCoy, to remain.
I'm very sorry, but that's impossible.
Your duties will be extraordinarily light.
How about you reach out and communicate if you ever get sick again, sort of like you did now?
And you consider yourself a disciple of Plato?
We manage to live in peace and harmony.
Whose harmony?
Exactly.
Anyone can, at any moment, be or do anything he wishes, even to becoming ruler of Platonius.
Alexander can?
And if his mind isn't strong enough, he gets torn apart like Alexander.
Oh, come now, we are not children.
You're absolutely children.
I can't move, Jim.
I'd be like, Bones, we're going to go ahead and go. Then we're going to rain death down on this place from a safe distance.
Captain, go while you still can.
Hey, fuck off, man.
I hope we can persuade you to join our tiny republic.
You won't persuade me.
I think we will.
Well, then kill me, and then we're back at square one. They're doing a good job with the wire work, I'm assuming, there. Oh, for fuck's sake. This is so frustrating.
Tweedledee, he's Tweedledum. Spaceman marching to and from. We slide among the mimsy trolls and gyre among the boragos.
You can immediately tell that Shatner is absolutely stage trained.
Don't do this to him, Parman. McCoy, no matter what he makes me say or do.
Bill Shatner's killing this.
Stop it!
Man, Spock is out. Oh, I can't stand her.
Your utopia, your grand vision of the future. You don't heal.
Someone scratch these guys. Just break their skin. The infection will take them out.
You will never get me to stay here.
You will be happy to stay. It takes a little time, Doctor, but you will be happy to stay.
First time I have to treat one of you all, I'm going to kill you. So keep that in mind. Are you fighting it, Spock, or are they making you do this? I cannot wait for the comeuppance. I thought that was Leonard Nimoy doing that until I saw that it was a dance double. What? That's the most disturbing thing I've seen in a hot minute.
You can't force emotion out of him.
You must be joking, Doctor.
Destroy him.
McCoy right at his defense. You can't force those things on him. It'll kill him. Spock, your only chance. We're going to need, like, Alexander to shoot a shot here. Just don't meow.
He saved your life. I'm ashamed to be a Platonian. Ashamed.
I love Alexander. Okay, so I can see where this would be considered silly, but it's sinister too. And never let it be said that Bill Shatner doesn't commit to the bit. I mean, he pushed all of his chips in on that shit. Spock, we need an idea here, bud. Or is he in meditation? I wonder if he's figuring out a way to, like, shut his mind off or shield himself.
The release of emotions, Mr. Spock, is what keeps us healthy. Emotionally healthy, that is.
That may be, Doctor.
Not for him, though.
Do you still feel anger toward Parman?
Yeah.
I might have seriously injured you, Captain. Even killed you.
That's all he's concerned with.
This is senseless. I've thought it over. I'm staying.
You can't.
But Parman has promised me you'll be safe.
Promised.
Yeah, you can't trust him now.
But if any one of us escaped, Parman knows that Starfleet would never let this planet go unpunished.
Yeah.
I should have warned you. They were treating you the same way they treat me, just like me, only you fight them. The arms and legs of everybody's whim. Look down, don't meet their eyes, smile, smile. You showed me what they really are. And now I know, don't you see, it's not me, it's not my size, it's them.
Put it down.
No, this is the best thing
Put it
for
down.
them. No.
Do what I say.
I'm gonna cut them.
Alexander.
I'm gonna cut them. Parman first, and they'll all get infected. But this time, listen, whatever
I'm with you, Alexander.
die.
Give it to me.
At least let me give them a taste of what they gave me. Please, they're gonna kill you anyway. You know that.
In that case, what's the point in you dying too, Alexander?
This guy's great. Absolutely making this episode for me.
Should have told you when you first came here that they were going to kill you because I knew that when I was afraid.
Yeah, but you wanted to talk to people, dude.
Is it possible for you to recall how long after you arrived here that their power began to develop?
It was exactly 6 months and 14 days after we got here that they started pushing me around.
And would you know how many months' supplies you brought with you? Their power developed 2 or 3 months after they started eating the native foods.
Nice.
Well, then why wouldn't Alexander have the same power as the others?
Perhaps his system cannot absorb the crucial element.
Are you allergic to something?
The probabilities are that Alexander was born with some biochemical deficiency relative to Platonius.
I'll run both their blood samples through for a full comparative test in the track order.
Maybe he's like anemic or something.
The one significant difference between Parman's blood and Alexander's is a concentration of kieranite, broken down by pituitary hormone.
That's that shit.
It's also obvious why Parman kept this little utopia a secret. Anyone coming down here...
We'll get the power.
There must be a quick way of building up a concentration of kieranite in our blood.
It'll take some doing, but it's possible.
What are we waiting for?
Man, let's figure out a way to get Alexander some of that, too.
The psychokinetic power is not additive. If it were, considering the Platonians' hostile propensities, 2 or 3 of them would have combined forces
To kill everybody.
You know, Parman says that each one has his own separate power frequency because before, when they've tried to combine their powers and use them together, it never worked.
Interesting.
It may take days or even weeks before there's enough buildup from the kieranite to be of any benefit to us.
Maybe it'll just prevent them from doing anything to you, though.
It's better, in fact, because he's acclimated.
Oh, no. No, not after what they've done to me.
Why not? You could conceivably take Parman's place and run the whole planet.
He doesn't want that.
Become one of them? Become my own enemy?
He's seen millennia of them acting like that.
You can keep your precious power. All I ask is one thing. If you do make it out of here, take me with you.
Absolutely, dude.
Alexander.
What?
Nurse. Lieutenant Uhura.
Oh, no. Guys, we gotta do something. Alexander, we need you, buddy.
I guess we weren't sufficiently entertaining.
I mean, Christine does have medical knowledge, but...
Are we ever glad to see you?
We were forced in the transporter and beamed down. It was like becoming someone's puppet.
Bill Shatner doesn't care. He's rocking it.
Captain, what is it? What's going on?
It's time to wreck some pricks.
Let's try a simple test. Concentrate on raising this plate of fruit.
Uh-oh. But again, you could be shielded from it, though. You might not be able to do it yet, but you could be shielded from it, because that's what they were saying, that their frequencies were different. It's like almost like they can't affect one another. Oh, fuck.
Fellow academicians,
No, these pricks.
And then a divine providence graced our genius and our dedication with the power of powers.
This guy's good too.
Take care, young ladies, and value your wine. Be watchful of young men in their velvet prime.
I just love the stage of all of this.
With smiling words and tender touch, man offers little and asks for so much.
Look at Nichelle Nichols' face. That reactionary shot is so good.
In cold morning
I mean, I'm clapping too for that, Leonard Nimoy. So obviously we're not shielded. They're doing a great job with the set pieces and moving stuff.
So ashamed. Please make them stop.
We have tried.
Ah,
Please, please make them stop.
Spock is trying everything he's got.
For so long, I've wanted to be close to you. Now all I want to do is crawl away and die.
Too much love is dangerous.
That guy's actually good too.
Cupid's arrow kills Vulcans.
Alexander's gonna do something. Oh my God.
I'm thinking of all the times on the Enterprise when I was scared to death. I would see you so busy at your command. And I would hear your voice from all parts of the ship. And my fears would fade. But I'm not afraid. I am not afraid.
Was that the kiss? I really like that by Nichelle Nichols. I thought that was really well done. Great insight into Uhura too. I have a question I'm going to ask you all when we get to the thoughts section. I don't know the answer to it, but I heard something one time.
You're half crazy because there's nothing inside, nothing. And you have to torture us to convince yourselves you're superior.
Bring your ass down here without those powers and let's see what you got. No, 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 no. Alexander, we're going to need you, bud. This is incredibly fucked up.
I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll stay here and serve you, but stop it.
Common.
Oh no, they're going to kill him.
Play with knives very well.
No, 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 please don't.
Indulge him.
No, please don't. Oh, God, don't do this. Please don't do this. Guys, oh my God, what do we do?
Who did that?
I did, motherfucker.
I did.
Impossible.
Quite possible. And logical.
Now we're gonna kick everyone's ass.
Not only do we have your psychokinetic ability, but at twice your power level.
Not twice mine.
Oh, come on, man. No, 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 no. Just have him drop the knife. You're gonna hurt him.
I beg of you. I'll do anything you say. I do not wish to die.
We're just gonna scratch him.
Captain, do you hear me?
No.
Don't stop me. Let me finish him off.
Do you want to be like him?
Oh, the music dropped. Awesome moment. Oh, shit.
But the sight of you and your academician sickens me. Despite your brains, you're the most contemptible things that ever lived in this universe.
We must expect, Parman, that the moment we leave here, your fear would be gone, and you would again be as sadistic and as arrogant as your 2,500 years have made you.
Oh my God.
In a matter of hours, so don't try anything.
The actress has been on the show before, hasn't she? I'm forgetting.
I'm bringing a visitor aboard.
Let's take us away, guys. Look at that beauty. Fuck this planet. All right, everybody, we just got done watching the 10th episode of the 3rd season of Star Trek, the original series, PLATO'S Stepchildren. And the only thing left to do is talk about it. All right, everybody, we just got done watching PLATO'S Stepchildren, the 10th episode of the 3rd season of Star Trek, the original series. First and foremost, that was Barbara Babcock. I had to look that up. I knew that I knew her from somewhere but this was all the way back in A Taste of Armageddon was where she first appeared in the original series. And it wasn't until the end of the episode I was like, she's been on this show before. It just takes me, again, Swiss cheese brain. But again, I thought that she did a great job of evoking the emotion of me not liking her. And she did that quite well. As far as the entire episode goes, we've had things like this before, you know, mind control, we can't escape it, Enterprise is captured. I mean, it's a very similar premise to what we had, but there were a couple exceptions to this one that made me like it more than I should have, I think. The first and foremost, I thought that the actor that played Alexander was fantastic. I thought he was incredibly good. His initial monologue immediately, he has to be a stage performer. Again, I would be shocked if he wasn't. I can't wait to look that up for Q&A because he was exceptional. His delivery, his tone, his projection, everything spoke of the stage, and his ability to really kind of meter off these monologues that he was giving really sounded like a very accomplished stage actor. And I think that was kind of the theme for me throughout the entirety of this episode. You know, there was a lot of stage-driven stuff in this. I mean, obviously the Greek setting speaks of the stage, speaks of drama, speaks of theater, but at the same time, when you have these elements that are put in there that we're unlikely or haven't seen our characters portray before, you know, with the dance, with the song, Spock's song, Leonard Nimoy, that was fantastic. And again, you know, it could be kind of, you know, misconstrued, or I can see especially when, you know, Kirk was playing the horse, how it could absolutely come off as silly. However, I didn't really, I mean, yes, were there silly elements to it? A few Shatnerisms kind of came through, absolutely. But for the most part, I saw Bill Shatner fall into this role. This was like, oh my God, we're doing stage stuff. I know that really well. And for the most part, I thought his performance was very strong in this one. One of the stronger ones I've seen in season 3, which is odd to say because, you know, there were these just kind of off the wall type of moments, but I think that if looked through the lens of it being sinister, of what was really going on here, you know, they were being manipulated and marionetted and puppeteered into these different situations. I'm so glad that McCoy was like, you can't have him, you know, express emotion. It will destroy Spock. This is not what he's supposed to be. You know, this is the same thing as, you know, taking one of the core tenets of somebody, murder, or, you know, making them do something that they would never do in their normal life, and then having them keep the awareness of having done it. You know, how do you work yourself around that? And I think that Nimoy did a great job in that reactionary scene where he was kind of frozen. I've got to fight through this. I've got to beat this. Even though Spock was smart enough to know at the present moment, before they had learned about, you know, the local food kind of giving them the powers, you know, this was a fool's errand. He was never going to be able to, you know, produce enough defenses for his, like, you know, mental manipulation. And so it was almost like a struggle for him. You know, he was trying to, he had nothing to do. He had no recourse. He had to try to fight back the emotions that they were making him display, because it was going to send him down some, you know, path that he could never return from. But at the same time, he knew he couldn't do it. So it was a really interesting moment. A couple things that happened in this one. Okay, first off, that must be the kiss, right? The first interracial kiss, or I believe that there was one before that, but this was like kind of like the assumed first interracial kiss on television. One, I expected more from that. If by means they took an odd camera angle on that one. So you really didn't even see their lips touch. And so I was a little disappointed in that because I think the lead up to that scene, Nichelle Nichols with her, talking about how scared she was, that was fantastic. Talking about like whenever she would hear the captain's voice coming from any part of the ship, that would give her strength. But in this moment, now it makes her tremble. And I think that that was such an interesting take on all of that, especially to allow the two of them to have a conversation independent of what, the Platonians were making them do. So here's the story that I heard. The story that I heard was that the executives were not real happy, sold, convinced that they should have an interracial kiss on TV. However, what they wanted to do was they wanted to film two different versions of the kiss. One where I guess they didn't kiss and one where they did kiss. Two versions of the scene, but kind of basically, I guess I'm assuming placed and shot in the same way. On and again, all of these were done without the kind of the luxury of dailies at the time or the ability to take a look at it until you're basically past that point and into editing. So what I heard was that Bill Shatner, obviously the take that we saw there was the take that they used, but the other take, the take where they don't kiss, he looks at the camera, kind of must be that shot where he's like kind of looking over her head and looks up, and he had deliberately crossed one of his eyes. So there was like profoundly crossed one of his eyes. So it was like an unusable shot. You couldn't throw that in there. It breaks everything. It breaks, it doesn't sustain disbelief. It absolutely takes the audience out of it. And so whenever the execs saw it, they thought, well, damn it. They were like kind of forced to do this scene. And I don't know if that's true or not, or if that's just a legend, but I heard that a long time ago. And I think I heard it in one of like a communications class back in college when they were talking about it. So I don't know if that's true or not. Please help me. If it is, I would love to know. Now, overall, how would I rate this episode? I'd probably say this was a mid episode for me, and not, like it's mid, but like in the middle somewhere. And again, I think that I'm giving it more credit than I normally would have because of the performances of Alexander's performance specifically, and the ability for our actors in the principal roles of Kirk and Spock primarily to kind of flex a little bit. And I'll end with this, my friends. I think that the one thing that I'm really paying attention to and have been paying attention to since I started Strange New Worlds. The first season is over on Patreon. I've watched the second season kind of when it came out. I think most of it. So I'm pretty up to date with Strange New Worlds, but I'm definitely going back and rewatching the second season and picking up anything that I missed. But the thing about that is there is a Christine Chapel Spock dynamic in that show as well, and I'm always paying particular attention to it in the original series. And when I started Strange New Worlds, I thought, this is interesting that they're actually playing off of that. And I think we had our most revelatory moment in this one with Christine basically saying, I've always wanted to get close to you. That's very, very interesting to me because I would love to see how that would have played out, had we had a couple more seasons of the original series. But again, I think in a serialized narrative, we would have seen that play out even in season 3, episode 10. There would have been more kind of behind those words. I don't know. It's very interesting to me. So there's a lot about this episode that we've seen before. It's kind of a rehash of a lot of things. There's no beating around the bush. There was. We've even seen, the Greek stuff before. But again, I think that there were singular moments, especially if without Alexander, this one, I wouldn't have been as favorable to this one, I think. I think Alexander's actor really, really did a fantastic job and did a lot to ground the episode. And for the most part, make me look through it through the lens of the stage just because of the way he performs. It kind of got my mind thinking in that direction. Without him, that would have been bad. But again, we got to see these things that kind of went into play. So, all in all, there was a lot that went on, and I'm sure there was a lot that went on behind the scenes. And I would really like to know what all of those things were, especially about the kiss and whatnot, and see how that was received or manipulated by Bill Shatner, if that legend is true. But there's only one person that can verify that for us. General? Greetings and salutations, my friends. 'Tis I, leader of men, lover of women, and best friend to Jim Kirk, General Trelane. Retired. Friends, this is where, after having watched and reacted to an original series episode, I like to dig a little bit deeper and find out what went on behind the cameras, because if I had looked it up before watching and reacting to it, it would have ruined it for me. But to keep myself from wandering off into the weeds for 3 hours, I've given myself 5 categories to explore. The first, writer and director. Who were they? The second, guest stars. Did we have any? The third, of the core cast, or the big 8. Who was present? The fourth and juiciest of the categories, the production notes, what went on behind the cameras. And last but certainly not least, category 5, a memorable quote from the episode. Let's get started. And now, friends, for our first category, writer and director, who were they? Well, we had 2 rookies for the original series, which seems to be a bit of a theme here in season 3. A lot of new faces, but not a lot of repeat faces. But let's listen to these names and see if we see them again. Our writer for this episode was Meyer Dolinsky, and our director was David Alexander. Again, both rookies, so we'll keep our eyes peeled to see if they pop back up. But season 3 seems to be a bit unforgiving to both writers and directors. We'll see. Let's move on. And now, my friends, our second category, our guest stars. Did we have any? Did we ever? Friends, first and foremost, the incomparable Michael Dunn as Alexander. I thought he was absolutely fascinating, and I was going to put this in production notes, but I decided to put it here during our guest stars because Michael Dunn was so well regarded by Gene Roddenberry, he actually auditioned for the role of Spock in The Cage. Obviously losing it to Leonard Nimoy, but he was thought so highly of. Gene Roddenberry tried to fold him in at any time he possibly could. And this was the first time, schedule permitting, that Michael Dunn was able to show up and play the role of Alexander in Plato's Stepchildren. An incredible job, one of my all-time favorite guest stars and secondary characters. I thought Alexander was brilliant, portrayed brilliantly. Great stuff. Now, who else did we have? 2 other very good actors in Liam Sullivan as Parman and the returning Barbara Babcock as Falana, because, of course, my Swiss cheese brain did not recognize Mia Seven from A Taste of Armageddon until the very end of the reaction. And I think I left it in there where I'm like, oh, wait a minute, she's been on the show before. Yep, that's me. That's a perfect, I left it in. If I'd left it in, I left it in for a good reason. That's a perfect example of my Swiss cheese brain. All right, friends, let's move on. And now, friends, for our third category of the core cast, or the big 8 who was present. Well, who are the big 8? We have Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Scotty, Sulu, Uhura, and Chekhov and Chapel. We only had 6 in this one, as we noticed from the very first shot of the bridge. No Sulu and no Chekhov. Ugh, I always feel tense when they're not on the bridge. Let's move on. And now, friends, for our fourth category, production notes. What went on behind the cameras of this episode of the original series? Well, for our very first production note, this is Alexander Courage's last score that he composed for the original series. He's been around providing fantastic environmental music and fantastic orchestration for a lot of the original series, but this would be the last time he created anything new for the series and the last time that we would have an original score of any kind. I can only assume, and I didn't want to, this is not verified, this is my speculation. I think because the budget was getting cut, they decided to just, this is one thing that they could cut. They don't want to, but they could reuse some of Courage's music, which it looks like they do going forward. Quite a shame, my friends. Let's move on. And now, friends, for our second production note, and this one is right in the same vein as the Alexander Courage as far as music is concerned. In this episode, Leonard Nimoy, when he portrayed the song Made in Wine, or Spock performed the song Made in Wine, that was actually written and composed by Leonard Nimoy himself. I thought that was fascinating. It was a great moment. It kind of added to the theatrical quality of this entire episode. And in many ways, it was both entertaining and haunting. And I thought it was exceptionally well done. Nice job, Mr. Nimoy. Let's move on. And now, friends, for our third production note, I wanted to put this one right in the middle, the kiss. Okay, so I asked a question in the thoughts section about the different takes that they had for the kiss because the studio execs were just a little worried about the southern states actually playing an episode that featured an interracial kiss. Well, the compromise, as we had talked about and speculated, the story that I had heard appears to be true in that they were asked to do several takes. Some of those takes had the kiss. Some of those takes did not. One of those takes did not have the kiss. And Nichelle Nichols and Bill Shatner agreed that the kissing scenes would be the best they could do. And the one without the kiss is the one where Bill Shatner crosses his eyes so bad. They actually did look at the dailies of this particular moment and this particular scene during the actual filming. I guess they were worried. The next day they looked at the dailies and they realized, oh my God, a lot of these extras aren't on set today. There's no way we can shoot this again. We've already torn down elements of that scene. So they decided, the hell with it, we'll go with the kiss. Now, there has been some speculation in the past, and I actually even said so during the reaction or my thoughts section. I was concerned that the kiss didn't actually happen because they took the camera and really kind of played with that kind of above top down shot where you're not really sure if they're kissing. Nichelle Nichols corrected everyone who had that same speculation by saying they did indeed kiss. Each and every time they were asked, their lips did indeed touch. So, and Bill Shatner apparently also corroborated this and said, no, we kissed each and every time. I think that is absolutely fantastic and a testament to the power that actors could wield even in a television setting. Normally what they say is television and movies are the realm of the editor and the realm of the director. They have final say, with the stage being the realm of the actor. No one can stop the actor once they're up on stage. In this particular instance, the stage, so fitting for this episode, the stage definition of control was given to the actors during the television show, and they in fact were able to use that to get forth a powerful, powerful message, my friends. Great, great stuff. Let's move on. Now, for our fourth production note, I couldn't just leave the kiss at 3. I actually had this. I wanted to make this one a separate one because this is absolutely delicious. So, in the original script, Uhura was supposed to kiss Spock. But upon reading the script, Bill Shatner said, nope, if anybody is kissing Nichelle Nichols, it's going to be me. And then he corrected himself and said, Captain Kirk. He also said later, and again, I saw this in one place, so take this for a grain of salt. I hope and pray to God this is true. He was asked at some point in the future, whenever they were talking about the kiss during an interview, why did you elect to do it over Leonard Nimoy? And he said, one, I wanted to be the one to do it. It was a selfish reason. I absolutely wanted to be opposite of Nichelle Nichols in that moment. But he also said, you know what? I knew that there were going to be negative fan letters, negative press, hate mail coming in. And I wanted it to come to me. He said if they wanted to send this into our studio, they needed to send it to Captain Kirk. And I think that's badass. If he actually said that, that's awesome. I think it's probably 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. There's the nobility, they send me the hate mail. And then there's, I want to be a part of this. Regardless, a moment in television history cemented by 2 fantastic actors. And I am proud to even watch Star Trek because of it. Awesome, awesome stuff. And now, my friends, for our 5th and final production note, and I say this with as much humility as I can, I knew it. Michael Dunn, our beloved Alexander from PLATO'S STEPCHILDREN, was indeed stage trained. And not only was he stage trained, my friends, he was Tony nominated, and I believe he won one. He played on Broadway, off-Broadway, in touring companies. He was all over the place. If somebody laid out 3 or 4 boards, my man Michael Dunn was standing on top of them. He was a consummate actor of both screen and stage, and he brought a level of authority to this episode. I thought he was utterly fantastic. Hands down, one of my favorite guest stars we've ever had on the original series. His performance was spectacular. I could watch that guy all day. And unfortunately, I believe too, when I saw that he passes away in 1973, and Gene Roddenberry had more things that he wanted to do with him. And we can only assume, because of so many repeat performances and so many people that would pop up in the next generation, or at least I've been told the next generation, or later in Star Trek movies, things like that, that we would have definitely seen Michael Dunn again. In fact, I'm very confident in saying that we would have, but unfortunately we lost him. But friends, forever immortalized the role of Alexander, in which Michael Dunn put on a tour de force. A tip of the cap, my friend. Thank you for the art. Let's move on. And now, friends, for our fifth and final category, a memorable quote from this episode. Well, friends, this was a pivotal episode. It carried a strong message, but I think underneath all of this, even outside of the kiss, even outside of the fantastic performances by Michael Dunn and the stage quality that we saw in Plato's Stepchildren, I think it spoke to the vision that Gene Roddenberry had for the future. And I think that vision was boiled down and expressed from Kirk to Alexander in this quote. Alexander, where I come from, size, shape, or color makes no difference. Thus ends another installment of Q&A, until such time as you and I have a chance to play with our dear friend Jim again. Behave yourselves.